Hi everybody! Today I'm going to share with you how to embroider the eyes for your biddy buddies, for the Halloween buddies, when you're doing the chunky modification. So I've had a lot of requests or questions about if you can use chunky yarn to make the biddy buddies or the bobble buddies, and unfortunately I've tried it with burlap blanket yarn and it just really doesn't work. The bobbles are too close together and the yarn is too thick. So I'm really excited to share that I have found that Parfait Chunky works really well with the biddy buddies. So I'm excited to share that modification on my blog, but for some of my chunky buddies, I embroidered my eyes, so I thought I would share that tutorial with you. So here's an example of one with safety eyes. So you're welcome to use safety eyes. I use 12mm eyes on these chunkier buddies, but I know some people have concerns about using safety eyes for items for babies, or even with this chunky bulky yarn, sometimes the eyes can come through pretty easily even when you secure them into place. So I also have an example of embroidering the eyes. So I'm going to show you with the ghost. I've made a ghost in this gray color. And I've got the head here. And what I like to use is this Lion Brand Yarn sells this little pack of bonbons. So it's a really thin black, almost like a cording. So you can use whatever you want. You can use yarn or embroidery floss or whatever you prefer. But I'm going to use this little Lion Brand bonbon. Unfortunately, it comes in an 8-pack. Unfortunately or fortunately, I really only like to use the black, so I wish that it was an option to just purchase the black, but it comes as a 3-pack, or I'm sorry, an 8-pack with an assortment of colors. So I found mine at Joann's. I think they also have it at Michael's and on Amazon and whatnot too. So so let me turn this around and we are going to get started. Okay, so like I mentioned, here's that bonbon yarn, here's the Parfait Chunky that I used, and then here is the example of what we're trying to do. So I have a ghost head made here, and I've cut a long piece of that bonbon black yarn, and then I have threaded it onto an embroidery needle. So the first thing you're going to do is, you can see here I went from the inside. You're going to start on the inside of the head, and then you're going to find a stitch that you want to go up through. So I'm about halfway down on the head, and I'm going to have my eyes go up a couple rows. So I just kind of eyeball this. I will put specific placements. You can find that on the blog, but you can also eyeball it and play around with however you like for the eyes to look. So this is going to end up being this inner corner of the left eye facing you, but really the right eye of the ghost. So working from the inside and pulling out, we'll now have our yarn on the outside. We're going to go up to 2.5 rows, and then we're going to put the needle back into the head. That's going to give us a slanted eye there. So that's what it'll look like after the first pass. And then you're going to go over about 3 stitches, and you're going to push your needle back up from the inside. So that should pull that first line tight. Now, if you want to add these little eyelashes like this, I like to go ahead and do that while I'm over on the side. So I go about 1 stitch over. I'm going to make a straight line and pull tight, and then I'll do 1 stitch diagonal and do the same thing. So you're going to insert your needle, pull it back out at that same spot, and then you'll have 1 eyelash to the side and 1 eyelash slanted. So it'll look a little funny at this point, but now you're going to take your needle and you're going to go back in that top point to complete your eye. Then it'll look like this. Now you're going to go over and do the other side. So you can leave about 2 or 3 stitches in between the eyes. You're going to poke your needle up, And then we're going to do the exact same thing. So go up 2.5 rows, make that slanted line, and pull that tight. And then you'll go over about 3 stitches, poke your needle up. You can make the eyelashes if desired. So go over 1 stitch and then go up 1 stitch. And then to finish, you will put your needle back through the top of that eye. If you pull too tightly, you're going to lose the yarn, or I'm sorry, well, the yarn or the embroidery floss, whatever you use. If you pull too tightly, you're going to lose it within the stitches. So you want to make it taut, but you don't want to pull so tightly that you can't see the eyes any longer. All right, so there we go. We have 2 little eyes. If you want to make a mouth, so if I don't have enough yarn here, so if you have enough yarn, you can just go ahead and you can make the mouth before you tie it off. I've run out, so I'm gonna tie this off, and you just want to pull it kind of tight. Your ends should be next to each other. You want to pull it tight and just knot it. And then I just leave my ends inside of the head. And then if you want to make a little mouth, like I said, if you have enough yarn, you can just do it all at once. I do not, so I'll start a new piece. So to make a little mouth, you're going to again start from the inside of the head, kind of centered in between the eyes. I might move this 1 stitch over. And you're going to make a straight line across. So it'll look like a little bit of a grumpy ghost for a minute. And then right in the middle of that line, you're going to push your needle up 1 stitch lower, like this. And then you're just going to grab around that straight line and pull it down. You can kind of fix the corners so that it doesn't look like a V, it looks a little more like a U. And then once you tie those ends off, that'll keep that smile pulled down like that. So there are your instructions on how to embroider the facial features. Like I said, if you want to use the safety eyes, you can. These are 12mm safety eyes. But if you want it to be a little bit safer, or you don't have safety eyes, then you can use this technique for embroidering. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.